Wake up, America. If you grabbed a second half nap, I don't blame you. I didn't take one at Ohio Stadium to watch Ohio State win 35-7 against Youngstown State. Hey, it was a football game, so I wanted to pay close attention, and I was here, and it's my job. But if you're out there and you thought, that wasn't the best, most exciting version of Ohio State I've ever seen, I would say you're not wrong.
The scientifically proven or not maybe proven, but recommended time for a nap is 19 minutes long as the best amount of time for a quick nap. And that's about how long the third quarter lasted. So if you missed that, that's cool. Fourth quarter is a little bit longer. Second half in general was not entirely exciting for Ohio State, but the Buckeyes are 2-0, 35-7 win over Youngstown State. It was
a
weird.
Football game.
It was weird, but it's also like I'm coming to this idea that Ryan Day just doesn't care about numbers like points and he cares about number of plays because he mentioned that a number of times in the post-game press conference.
Yeah.
He is frustrated how these new rules are affecting things. He is learning how, hey, if these teams are going to run the ball with 3 seconds left on the play clock, we're going to lose opportunities, and that's forcing him to want to throw the ball more. But that's hard to do when you're trying to break in a new offensive line and new quarterbacks. It's just a funky thing. Again, Ohio State could have won this game 56-7 probably if they had we have a missed touchdown over here in the corner to Carnell Tate. We have Kyle McCord missed a crosser to Emeka Ibuka that would have been a touchdown. You have a holding penalty with take one back. There's just a lot of dumb little things going on that it's not clean. But, I don't know how much to make of it because it means virtually nothing right now.
Yeah. It means virtually nothing is a great way to kick off snap judgments. He is Jeremy Birmingham and I am Austin Ward. And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm not frustrated to watch this version of Ohio State. I haven't lost confidence that they are still one of the better programs in the country, that they can win the Big Ten, that they can win a national championship. Using Indiana and Youngstown State let's be honest, everyone was excited to be back in the horseshoe around here. Yeah. I don't know how pumped the actual Buckeyes were to be playing Youngstown State. Now, they came out with some energy. They made a few plays. Certainly the offense had a spark. Marvin Harrison with a long touchdown and didn't dab on the touchdown, which I think is a real plus for him moving forward. But
I tried. I was unselling. I was doing this, but he did not see me.
But you look at it and people say, you're just making excuses for these efforts. You're pointing to them winning comfortably, 28-point win or a 20-point win. And if you want to be upset about it and worried and picking at the nits, go for it. I understand.
There are certainly things to nitpick. Yeah, that's not a question.
And we can talk about those things, and we will talk about those things. But I don't, outside of feeling like today that Kyle McCord more solidified himself as the starting quarterback for Ohio State, and some mixed bag with the offensive line, just seeing Marvin and Emeka again, it doesn't mean a whole lot to me. So I'm not panicked about it, and I'm also not saying they're definitively gonna win a national championship, because you have to play better, but you also have to play different and better opponents. And I think Ohio State would probably rise to that level, although that's also a projection.
Yeah, that's kind of the weird thing right now. I thought Kyle McCord took a step up today, played very, very well, especially in the first half when he had an opportunity to go out there his first couple drives, scored on 2 or 3. They take him out, they bring in Devin Brown, they score. They have just a little bit of just wonkiness with the offensive line. And if we're gonna dive into the what are we nitpicking, the offensive line is a problem. This group should be much better run blocking, and they're not. And that's weird. They actually look more comfortable in pass pro, which I would never have expected to be the case. And we're now 2 games into the Ohio State football season, and we have written off the Indiana game as far as a pass rush perspective, because Indiana was running the triple option. They didn't throw the ball much. Every time they did, it was 2-step drop and throw. That was not the case today. Youngstown State dropped back and passed the football. And if they threw it to the field side against Davis and Igbinosun, it was almost a catch every single time. But there was no pass rush. And I don't understand where these guys are. And there's 2 ways I'm looking at this. One, you are not really getting exotic with anything you're doing, and that's understood, understandable. You're not blitzing from multiple spots. You sent Tommy one time today. He gets credited with the sack. But you shouldn't have to do that against Youngstown State.
Right.
I was asking Kyle McCord up in the press room after the game, like, what do you see in practice? He said, these guys are all over me in practice. So I don't know if they're just doing different things out here. If they're in practice, they're ratcheting it up because it's a higher competition and they're going best on best. But there's just no energy from that front four. I don't understand it.
Yeah, I mean, and look, I have talked so much about the rotation. That's not it.
No.
I mean, the outside of like occasionally taking Mike Hall off for stretches that I think are too extensive, that's not the issue. Like JT Tuimoloau is not getting to the passer as much as I expected. Jack Sawyer is not getting there as much as I expected. They brought Caden Curry in to do some Rushman stuff.
He's continued to be the one sort of spark plug.
He plays really hard, but it's not like, and he did get to the quarterback at least once, maybe twice. I have to go back.
He forces things to happen at the least. There is no pressure from the outside right now when Jack Sawyer and JT Tuimoloau are on the field, and I am puzzled by it. I don't understand how that's possible when we watched what we watched in August. And
I think that's what I'm trying to get at, Berm, is like, it's not the rotation.
Yeah.
Like that part has changed, but if we're saying you have to give the benefit of the doubt to Larry Johnson, he's a legend, he's the defensive line guru. Okay, let's do that. But then let's also ask, this part seems to have been resolved in a way that Ohio State and Jim Knowles and Ryan Day feel comfortable about. But the other part, like, why are you not seeing the level of production from those two 5-star players in year 3? Yeah. And again, it's 2 weeks. By next week, maybe that'll be completely different against Western Kentucky and an outfit that wants to throw all week long or all game long, and we'll be talking about something different. But I would say the biggest question for me coming out of week 2 to week 3, outside of the offensive line, is the defensive line. And there has to be more.
You should not be at a standstill against Youngstown State. You should be physically whipping them at the line of scrimmage when you have players like Ohio State has. There is no excuse to be getting gashed in the run game. And the Buckeyes did not play very well against the run. This defensive line was getting knocked off the ball. They were not where they needed to be. Fortunately, you have Steel Chambers and Tommy Eichenberg there to clean up. But it was just a bad game. And I don't know where exactly it stems from, but there just does not seem to be a fire in that group. And I don't know. And to be honest, I think that's actually a problem in the entire 85-man team at this point. The best players on this team are the most quiet guys. And that is it's a weird problem to have. All of the best players are the guys that don't talk.
They asked upstairs in the press conference room, Jerry was he was organizing, he said, Marv, the 2 touchdowns, why don't you go to the main podium and be, with all the bright lights on. He's like, nah.
Yeah, it's a weird issue because they have a lot of really talented guys, but like this is a college football program and you need heart, you need passionate guys. And even the guys that we've come to expect it from, like the Cade Stovers, you just don't see them out here trying to like pump people up. I don't know. Maybe that's because of the atmosphere here today. It's good crowd for a season opener, 102,000, but it wasn't at all excited. It was never loud. I mean, you have a 71-yard touchdown pass to Marvin Harrison on your first drive of the game, and it was like so that's a little weird. I mean, I think maybe there has to be something's missing from this group right now. And I'm not saying they can't get it, but it's slow build. And Ryan Day was clear to say that in the postgame presser. Like, this is not we are trying to win a national championship against Youngstown State. So, like, for the folks that want to have everything clicking perfect, like, I understand it. And I as a longtime Ohio State fan, like, I understand that impulse and the desire, but I just don't think it's real. Ryan Day seems to be taking this like an NFL coach. Like, we're just going to do what we got to do and get better. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought the answer he gave, because I tried to get at that point with him. Like, is it frustration, disappointment? Like, when you're in these games, again, he focused on the number of plays. And, if you had 15 more, then there might be 2 more touchdowns up there. But let's set that aside. That's sort of where the slow build, not going to happen overnight answer came from. And I think that's an interesting point. Like, we're looking at this through the perspective of last year, the 3 guys that they don't have on the offensive line are all on NFL rosters. And C.J. Stroud
was in the discussion to be the number 1 overall pick and is going to start for the Houston Texans as a rookie in the NFL. Like, that's a big deal. The standard can be the standard, but that doesn't mean necessarily that you can go out and absolutely match it immediately without the same body of work that all 4 of those guys had. They had a ton of reps, a ton of games, and Ryan Day's tried to bring this up in perspective with C.J. Stroud, Minnesota and Oregon that first year with him as a starter. Like, it wasn't, you don't go immediately light the world on fire. And he talked about Justin Fields needing longer than a couple weeks, but having enough athleticism to overcome that. Like, everybody is trying to come together with a new offense. And could he maybe scheme it up differently or be more aggressive with the play calling? Sure.
100%.
He doesn't seem concerned about that part, not knowing that like everybody else is just like out here like, well, Ohio State's supposed to win by 56-0. I picked.
I mean, it's weird. I'm trying to think of the right metaphor, and I guess like, let's say you are walking to a car dealership and there's a beautiful Ferrari sitting there.
Okay.
However, it has an engine that is still being built. Like, there's going to be times when you have the opportunity to take it out for a test run and maybe see how much gas you can give it. But that was a weird clunk. That shouldn't have happened. Whoa! That hiccup shouldn't be there. So you just keep working. The offensive line and the quarterbacks are new, and those are, from what I understand. And again, I'm not a football coach. But I think those positions are important. So I think you just have to let it build a little bit. Yes, be frustrated because it doesn't look the way it's looked forever, but I don't think it's a teardown. This is not a complete rebuild by any stretch. It is a ramp up. It is a slow but steady, get yourself ready for Notre Dame. And I don't know that going into this season that was the mindset for Ohio State, but I don't think that they were annoyed by the fact that it could happen that way. And that, like we said it last week, like, you have 3 games that are essentially a preseason. You may as well use them that way. Now, to figure out the new clock, to figure out how to use the quarterbacks, to figure out the running back rotation, which, I mean, Travion Henderson had 5 carries and 56 yards, 5 carries. And how do you, as a fan or as an analyst or anyone else, get a real sense of how he played? Like, 5 carries, 11 yards of carry. Great, but like at the same time.
And then you say, give it to him more. And then you say, how?
Right. You say, give it to him more. And then he runs into someone. And you're like, oh, he sucks. Like, so it's weird.
Well, that's not what I was saying.
Chip trained him today. Didn't look like Chip trained him a week ago. So all these guys are still trying to feel themselves out a little bit. And I don't think that it's a problem at this point. I think it is worth noting, worth paying attention to, but I don't come out of this going, oh boy, this team stinks. They're not going to make it. Like, it's a process. There's a check-ins.
I wish you were watching F1 so that you could have made a Ferrari joke about tire management and their bizarre strategy and race, but
no, I don't want to do that.
Okay. I know you don't. Tell me about the good things.
Again, I thought Kyle McCord made a big step up today. I liked what I saw out of Devin Brown at times. I think that Devin showed against Youngstown State what the issue is with Devin Brown and why probably Kyle McCord was picked to be a starter. He is a little bit more consistent. Devin has the opportunities to make some plays happen, and sometimes he looks really good. Sometimes he doesn't. I asked him at postgame, I said, grade yourself. What do you give? Tell me what you are. I said, I'm going to give myself a C. Okay, well, that's fair. I said, I missed some throws I should not miss. Easy throws I have to make. And so if he's acknowledging it, I think we can acknowledge it. Like, again, the pass to Carnell Tate over here in the corner should have been a touchdown. He seems to have a real difficult time making the easy throws easy. And some of that, I think, is just being so juiced up, so amped. And part of that will get mitigated by being in the game more often and being more regular. But I don't know how much opportunity there's going to be for that a week from now.
It seems like it's about to be shifted away from here's the 4th and 8th series, which I believe, that's the way it worked out on Saturday against Youngstown State. I think that part is probably about to be gone based on the way Kyle McCord played and the way that Ryan Day talked. He did say he wasn't going to make that decision on a Saturday night at the podium, which that's obvious. But it seems clear that the way that they've managed the reps in the first 2 weeks, the clear improvement that I thought was out there from Kyle McCord. Perfect? No. Missed the throw to Marvin Harrison in the third quarter, which is why it lasted 19 minutes. If you complete that one, Ohio State keeps driving. You can maybe score another point.
And he mentioned that when he was asked about it, and that was the throw he said he wanted back today. He just has to hang in there a little bit longer and deliver it.
And that's almost like the crazy part of the way that these first 2 weeks have gone is like, we're looking at the throw to Carnell Tate from Devin Brown, the missed throw from Marvin Harrison. Like
a hold. I mean, all of a sudden,
those are the
21 more points.
A, it's the amount of plays, and B, because Ohio State has gone through these first couple weeks to try and continue the battle and play both. Like we're watching every single throw. Every quarterback misses throws. Yeah. Like that happens in games. There's no such thing as a perfect one from anybody, and it's an unfair expectation that because you're comparing them both to each other. That part, I think, Ryan Day understands that they need to get away from that. I think Kyle McCord has also separated enough to get to that point. Maybe that's just my opinion on that, and we'll see if he agrees on Tuesday, the next time we talk to him. But, I mean, Kyle McCord did a lot of positive things for Ohio State.
Kyle, before he went up to the podium, I was just chatting with him. I said, how much different do you feel today from a week? He said it's night and day. He said there is no comparison. He felt way more comfortable, and it was obvious from the first ball he threw of the day. So I think Devin Brown will play against Western Kentucky. I don't think it's going to be a, all or nothing Kyle McCord show. I think you will see some series for Devin Brown, but I think we saw an example today of why Kyle McCord has been put where he's been put. It was awesome to see Marvin Harrison get unhitched early. Emeka Egbuka, I think he still feels a little frustrated at times. Like some of the plays that are drawn up for him, it just doesn't seem like they're clicking the way you want it to. It's those little crossing routes and that sort of stuff.
He did have 2 opportunities on the first Devin Brown drive where I think he got open. He expected the football to be there and could have scored on him and missed opportunities. Again,
And Marvin drops the ball. I mean, Devin has the one to Marvin where he throws it way high, and Marv a year ago maybe makes that catch. I don't know. I mean, 9 times out of 10 he probably holds onto that ball. Today he didn't. But it's weird. But nothing is like in rhythm right now, and nothing is going to be in rhythm when you keep changing quarterbacks and keep changing running backs and it's just not going to happen. So it is imperative, I think, for Ohio State to make a decision and move forward at quarterback. That's one thing. I mean, if we're talking big takeaways today, I understand that people may want to see a continued competition, and it will certainly continue throughout the week at practice, and Devin Brown should be pushing Kyle McCord and vice versa. But when it comes to the game plan, I think you just have to dial in with one quarterback and say, this is our starter. Kyle is maybe the guy. If he is, let's play him until the game is out of reach, and then we let Devin finish it.
I wonder, so I said, you'll see in the notebook on the podcast later on, like, it doesn't seem to me to do Devin Brown any favors. Like what you're talking about with the practice the competition will continue in practice, and
that's going to work itself out.
But the way that it's been handled, like it seems like they're operating 2 completely different offenses because Devin Brown is doing quarterback power and fake pitch run back himself, and I'm not sure that that's the best use of his talents. I mean, I'm going to let Ryan Day run the offense. That's just my hypothesis from watching it. They don't seem to really connect, and I'm not sure that that's the truest way to let him grow as a passer or quarterback. But whatever, we can set that aside. But what does that mean for the rest of the offense? Well, they've got to know the Devin Brown package. They've got to know the Kyle McCord package, and that may just be the reality.
Yeah.
That may just be how you have to manage it throughout the course of the year. But that doesn't necessarily lend itself to a cohesive offense that knows exactly what its identity is, and I could be 100% wrong about that.
I don't know if that is the offense is being called significantly differently. Nice flow. Or if that's just Devin Brown trying to do things outside of the play structure.
Well, I'm not even talking about those. I'm talking about the design
runs are interesting. I mean, I think I could get behind those if, like, on the 4th down play here in the end zone, Devin Brown got run down by a defensive tackle.
Right.
And you're like, he had a lot of space there, and some of it's because his eyes were up and not really sprinting probably. But I want to see, if you're going to go out here and show me and tell me that he's like the athlete that's going to make a difference when he's in the game as equating numbers as a runner, then let's see it cut loose instead of this sort of tiptoe stuff that we are watching, because it doesn't seem like anyone's firmly committed to the idea that it's a totally different offense, but they're just going to try things in a half-assed way that doesn't make sense.
Man, this got like way more negative than I thought it was going to.
I mean, I don't know that you can't leave this game feeling positive.
Yeah, I know.
You can leave it saying, don't make a big deal out of it, but there are more negatives than positives when you have, I mean, you got to pass an interception by Denzel Burke. He's continuing to play great. It's interesting to me. I was watching the Igbenogson stuff all day, and like he seems to have guys are open, and then I'm like, well, that is the field side. It's a much more room to work around. You got guys that are, you're crisscrossing routes over there. I can maybe give a little bit. I want to see more from these guys. I just think that it's like we can sit here and the fans can sit there and say, hey, you're playing Youngstown State. It's easy to understand maybe a little bit of mental chill, but that can't work for the players. Like, you got to be out here blowing these guys up. Sonny Styles blows people up like every time he gets a chance. I don't see that out of the defensive line, and that is just pissing me off because I don't understand how you aren't whipping Youngstown State up front.
Yeah.
There's no explanation for that I can come up with. When you have 4 top 50 players lined up at defensive line, top 50 prospects lined up on your defensive line. You're recruiting well. You are known for this development at defensive line. Where is it?
Ohio State is 2-0. They won 35-7 on Saturday in their home opener at the Horseshoe, and we really appreciate you diving in for some Snappy J's with us to break it all down.
I know it feels negative. I'm not trying to. I swear.
I know.
I just want to. If
we pretended like this was the greatest win of all time, that would be disingenuous.
Throw guys out there that are going to either go out there and play with their hair on fire or change something else. That's all right.
All right. A week to go until Western Kentucky, right back here in this very building. We'll have all the content, as always, coming for you on the podcast all week long, so stay tuned for that. And thank you very much for joining us for Snappy J's in the Horseshoe. He's Birmingham, I'm Austin. See you later.